Hello friends, welcome to the session. We are going to see a new topic today. In fact, most of you will not be knowing what I am going to deal with today. We usually sing songs. We all. In all times, at all times in fact. When we feel very happy, when we feel sad, and when we feel very cheerful, when we have or when we get victory in something, when we achieve something, right? Have you all ever thought about which type of song it would be? Definitely not. We always sing, just enjoy, and just we keep on doing, that's all. We don't think about the type of song what we sing, right? This is the topic what we are going to deal about today. The type is named as genre. Genre. How will you pronounce it? Genre. No. It's genre. Genre of literature. What do you mean by genre? Type. Which pattern? For what reason do you sing that song? What is the reason behind singing that song? This is called genre. Shall we see that in detail? Yes. Genres of literature. Here are a few popular genres for you to know and learn. Identify them while enjoying works of literature. Usually we read, we enjoy, we just throw the book and we just go off. Or we listen to the song, we enjoy it, just be cool, that's all. We don't go and research what sort of song it is, what would be the scene behind it. Maybe one or two you can find, but not all. Today we are going to see all sorts of genres of literature. Okay, shall we see this in detail? Yes. The first one, ballad. Ballad is the oldest form of poetry in a song form, narrating a story in short stanzas. Actually, a short story would be sung in songs. What do you get out of it? What do you get from that? What do you understand from that? You can listen to stories in the form of songs. That is called ballad. That is the oldest form of poetry. Biographies. Life history of a person written by someone else. That means persons used to write, writers. They used to write life history of famous personalities. Okay. Life history of famous personalities. Do you know the difference between biography and autobiography? A writer who writes about another famous personality is a biography. Whereas a famous person who writes about himself and about his own experiences is called autobiography. Right? Can any one of you give examples for that? Good. Wings of Fire, written by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He has written about his own life and the great experiences in his life by himself. That is autobiography. Whereas biography, a writer writing about another eminent personality. Now, we are going to see the next genre, comedy. The term in any discourse or work generally inducing laughter. No, no, no. Do I look like a comedian? You just want to laugh at me or what? Yeah. The term in any discourse of work generally inducing laughter. The moment you read the book, you start laughing happily. That is comical. Okay. Couplet. A pair of successive lines of verse, typically rhyming and of same length. Couplet means it would have only 2 lines and it would have the typical rhyme, and the length of the lines would be the same. That is called couplet. Elegy. Poem of serious reflections, lament for the dead. Usually, what do? We lament, we sing a song while we see the dead body, right? That is actually called an elegy, a poem of serious reflection. That time, our heart would be full of what? Sadness. This poem would reflect our sad thoughts. Okay. So, poem of serious reflections, lament for the dead. Epic. Long narrative poem in relation to the central heroic figure becoming a part of history of a nation or race. A long narrative poem which would have a heroic figure. Based on that figure, the total story would be linked. It would be in the form of poem. And that would become a great history for a nation or a race. Can any one of you tell me an example for epic? Yes. Ramayana and Mahabharata. Very good. Elegy. Folklore. Traditional beliefs and customs or stories of a community passed through generations by word of mouth. This is sung by the people from villages usually. Those who are born in villages and their community would have been living generations after generations, and the traditional beliefs, what they have, they usually sing it. They usually bring it through songs. Okay. This is called folklore. Oral tradition. What all beliefs they have, they used to sing it through songs and make it known to other people. Okay. From this song, we can very well understand how these people lived in the past. We can know their past life. Haiku. A Japanese poem of 17 syllables in 3 lines of 5, 7, 5, evoking images of natural world. That is 5, 7, 5. Just 3 lines. Within the 3 lines, you would have 5 syllables first, then 7 syllables, then 5 syllables. When you see that haiku poem, naturally you will start seeing the images in your eyes. That is haiku. Horror. Literature intended to scare, disgust, or startle readers through feelings of terror and sometimes through supernatural elements. Devils, witches, demons having hair, so many hands, so many eyes, all hair hung in front of the face. Actually, what do? The poets, they intend to scare the readers through their poems with such genre. It would be very interesting. Literature intended to scare, disgust and startle. What do you mean by startle? Shocked readers through feelings of terror and sometimes through supernatural elements. Lampoon, publicly criticize, ridicule or sarcastically speak about someone through poems. That is called lampoon. Limerick, humorous 5-line poem with a rhyme scheme A, B, B, A. A very humorous one. The moment you read the poem, you start laughing. That's limerick. It would be very, very short with just 5 lines. That's all. Next, a very beautiful genre. This genre goes with all the languages. Almost all the languages have all the genres. But particularly, we see these genres in everyday life. Do you understand? Yeah, songs from movies. They have lyrics. The songs which are written in movies, they are lyrics. A poetry expressing subjective or personal point of view. Either they would have spoken about their own feelings or they would have spoken about some other subject, some other person in the lyric. Actually, this is called lyric. Novel, stories, fictions, very long, which would have different characters, different places, different situations, different timings put together. Okay, a very, very, very big descriptive one. A very descriptive story is called a novel. Okay, novel, fictitious, long, prose, narrative of book length. Few novels, they would go to 300 pages, 200 pages, 250 pages. That's what called book length. Fictitious. It would have different characters and different situations put together. Novella, a short novel or a long short story. A short novel or a long short story. Ode, a type of lyrical stanza, elaborately structured poem praising an event, individual, describing nature intellectually and emotionally. Friends, for this, I would like to quote a poem, an ode written by John Keats. Ode on a Grecian urn. Wow, what a poem, what a poem. Such a great writer, he would have written that poem, that ode in such a manner that you won't be able to forget for your lifetime. He would have brought nature like anything. He would have brought different events in such a manner magical. You get all those images when you read that ode. Ode on a Grecian urn written by John Keats. Romance, literature that aims to evoke strong emotions in the audience. Have you ever come across Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet? Antony and Cleopatra? Who would not have? Yeah, such a beautiful romantic drama it is. Unforgettable drama. Literature usually speaks about love, romance, war and peace, in which romance speaks, which takes the second place. Fine. Literature that aims to evoke strong emotions in the audience. When you read any of the romantic poems, that's what I told you, no? You would get the images, you'd start picturizing it when you read it, right? Let's go to the next one. Satire. Use of humorous irony, exaggeration or ridicule to expose famous personalities, which is actually spoken indirectly. Okay? Next. Sonnet. A 14-line poem using any number of rhyme scheme that originated in Italy. This sonnet has been written from Italy, first of all. Shakespearean sonnets are very, very famous. They consist of only 14 lines. In English, it is 10 syllables per line. Short story. A story with a well-developed theme, much shorter and less elaborate than a novel. See, you would have different characters. You would have different situations. You would have different timings given in the story. But it would be very short. Just, I would tell you an example. Novel is like a big TV serial, whereas short story is like a movie. Within 3 hours or 2.5 hours, you finish watching the movie, right? Whereas TV serials, you watch it for years together. That is like novel. And short story is like a movie. It would be very short, sweet, simple. Villanelle. A 19-line pastoral lyrical poem with only 2 rhymes throughout and some lines repeated. Pastoral. It's like a folklore. Okay. Usually sung in villages by old people who live in villages. Okay. So, a villanelle is a 19-line pastoral lyrical poem with only 2 rhymes throughout. For example, dame, fame, shy, die. Likewise, that would continue throughout the poem and some lines repeated. The next, we are going to see about the literary devices. What are literary devices? They are the techniques that the writer uses to produce the desired special effect in their writing. Enlisted here are a few figurative language devices used in literature with examples. Shall we see a few? Connotation. The feelings and associations suggested by a word. Example, Mr. Scrooge became thrifty but not cheap. So, the writer wants to speak about Mr. Scrooge's mentality. He is a spendthrift. Mr. Scrooge is a spendthrift. With that word, by connotating the word thrifty, he shows the character of Mr. Scrooge. Hyperbole, an exaggeration of something. Example, he was hungry enough to eat a horse. Usually, we do this in day-to-day life. What do? Immediately after coming from school, you throw the bags and go to the kitchen. What do you say? Ma, I feel so hungry. If you don't give me anything to eat, I'll just grab you and eat you fully. Right? Usually you can't eat your mother. That means You are showing the feeling of hunger in such a way that you want to eat something immediately. That's called hyperbole. Okay. Next, imagery. The creation of images using words. Word pictures. Usually, when you read something, you start imagining what you read. The picture comes in front of your eyes. The writer is able to make you imagine things what you read, right? That is called imagery. Footprints on the sands of time. When you read such a line, immediately what do? You imagine few footprints on sand. Am I right? A bird beautifully flying on the air. When I tell you that, you are able to imagine a white bird just flying with its wings on the chill air. Okay, this is imagery. Irony, a difference or contrast. Example, Brutus is an honorable man. Here, honorable. What do you mean? Do you mean that he is an honorable man? Here, ironically, what do you like to say? You just want to stress the point that he is not honest. He is not an honorable man. This is the inner meaning of it. When you say Brutus is an honorable man, you would like to mean that he is not honest exactly as you quote the word honorable. That is irony. Oxymoron, a phrase consisting of contradictory terms. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Actually, happy demise. What do you mean by demise? Death. Usually, death causes sorrow, whereas this word happy is a contrasting one, right? You won't feel happiness when somebody is dead. But what do you say? Happy demise. This is called oxymoron. Oxymoron. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Actually, parting your friend is not a happy one. But what do you say? It's a sweet sorrow. You carry that. You cherish it. It is actually sorrowful, but you are cherishing that parting for lifelong. Okay? That is called oxymoron. Paradox. A statement that at first appears contradictory, but which on closer examination contains truth. Example, longest shortcut. What do you mean by contradictory first of all? Whichever is told would not be acceptable. Which is unacceptable. You won't be able to accept it at all. That is called contradictory. But when you speak about paradox, it would appear contradictory first. Later, when you start realizing it, when you start researching the reasons behind it, then you would come to a conclusion that it is the truth. On the upper surface, just like that, if you see, you won't be able to accept things. Later on, when you start realizing it, you would accept that is the truth. This is called the paradox. Example, longest shortcut. You won't be able to accept it first. Later on, after some time, when you start thinking about it, you will start searching for the reasons. Why it happened, what happened, like that. Then you will start understanding the truth. That is called paradox. Fine. We have been seeing different genres and literary devices. Okay. Can anyone tell me about lampoon? What do you mean by limerick? Okay. Now we have been seeing about different genres. Now let's talk about literary devices. What do you mean by connotation? Yeah. What's the meaning of hyperbole? Good. Then, what do you mean by irony? What is imagery? Very good. So, you are able to understand what has been dealt till now. Okay? Hope you enjoyed this class and you understood what all has been dealt with. So, till we meet with a new topic and a new session. Thank you.